approve agenda. Any deletions, additions to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the, approve the agenda.
Second?
I will say.
Okay, all right. Approve minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. I didn't find anything that wasn't
Got a
right in
second?
it.
Second.
Second. Okay. Let's go to board reports. Any board reports? Stephanie? Good report. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, I was trying to, we went over our agenda for the next one today, so I'm like stuck in the middle. Nothing new to report, but thank you.
John?
Quiet.
Vicki?
Nope.
Clayton?
Nope,
Nope.
nope, pretty quiet.
For me, just we're trying to get superintendents in Paisley and
Yeah.
off we go. That's all I can say. Okay, financial report.
You've got your pages in front of you. I'd just like to comment on the expenses where it says that we paid an $89,000 catch-up for school counselors. That was for both District 7 and North Lake. Because last year our first payment to District 7 was in February, so it just fell in the different month. And then for North Lake, last year we had a counselor on payroll, so we were getting a consistent monthly amount.
Yeah.
And so that includes like a 6-month payment for North Lake's counselor up there.
Are we on track pretty much on where we should be this time of year? Cash carryover look about the same?
Cash carryover, we should hit 300,000 or better,
Or
but
better.
we may see a decrease in our actual cash balance.
Okay. Any questions for Sarah? I don't have anything for you today.
Wow.
Yay, we're on
Sorry,
speedy.
I'm sorry. Clayton, anything for you? Harass Sarah about?
No, I'm,
We're all just happy. You're up.
I checked with Charlie last week. The hospital is still definitely interested in the modular. We just haven't gotten together yet, but you know, he was waiting for the weather to get better, and I think last week was his window of opportunity, and he missed it. But anyway, that's still in the works. Probably a little bit of a bummer here. Alicia Montoya, our speech language pathologist that we were sharing with the hospital, has given notice, and she is returning back to Sacramento.
I knew them California plates. She didn't change them, so.
She was delightful.
She was wonderful. Hate to see her go, but really it's beyond our
Yeah.
control. Wish her the best. So we're going to, at least in the short run, absorb her caseload with our existing FTE. Renee, Jada, and Mike will have to pick up the slack
When did she leave?
at the end of the first week of March. So
Okay, yeah, pretty quick, yeah.
So really sorry to see her go.
Yeah.
The hospital is looking for another SLP as we speak. And I have been trying to contact one that I got a resume on just real recently here, so we'll see. You know, I hate, anyway, she was a real keeper. Unfortunately, she's leaving us.
Bob, how do we absorb something like that?
Well, okay, the easiest, that's a good question, John. I'm glad you kind of put the brakes on me on that. The easiest thing is that Renee Price, who's been working 4 days a week, will go back to 5 days a week.
Okay.
And that'll be the bulk of it. Jada will also pick up a little bit. The hardest part for me is Mike Benson will actually have to pick up. She was doing 2 hours of speech work for him a week, and he will just have to fit that into his schedule, because we just don't have any leeway there. So,
She couldn't finish the year though, huh? She didn't.
no, there were health issues, family issues.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, who are we talking about?
Alicia Montoya, the speech
yeah.
pathology
Yeah.
we were sharing with the
Oh,
hospital,
shoot.
really hate to see her go.
people picking up the slack, I'm assuming they're okay with this, or?
Repeat your question.
The people picking up the slack, I mean.
Oh, yeah, you
A
know,
little bit
it's,
for-
yeah, they're, you know, we have good folks down here. It's not ideal, but they certainly understand, so. we will survive. Like I say, we're looking to replace her as quickly as possible, but it certainly isn't gonna happen before she leaves. That's, then the only other thing that's really exciting right now is Vicki knows we have a ton of things going on in the early learning field. We're continuing to do our twice monthly activities here in Lakeview with Judy Springer and the kindergarten teachers. Vicki and Judy and others will be starting the Ready for Kindergarten parenting program here this spring. We're gonna try to connect with 40 families in the county. On April 12th, and some of you will be seeing invites to this, we are gonna have a P through 3 prenatal through age 3 summit here in town at the public library. We're gonna try to get about 40 or so community people there to really look at the data and try to get some real good input and consensus about what we need to be doing. We have some facilitators coming down from Portland State and over from Douglas County ESD to help us run this. It's part of a series of meetings that they're doing around the state, so that'll be kind of exciting as
Please
well.
mark your calendar.
Is it in
When is
April?
April 12th at the
5 to 8.
library.
5 to 8.
Dinner included.
Yep.
Wow.
Stephanie, I'm gonna make sure that you are already on the list of invitees. So there's a lot going on right now in the early learning stuff. There's, I think as I said last meeting or the meeting before, it's a huge part of my time. A huge, particularly since we have this state visit coming up in about 2 weeks in Douglas County, and Vicki and I and Amy Hutchinson have really been scrambling, so. That's all I have.
That's all you got?
That's all I have.
Okay. Let's go to discussion information. 3.1 board policy, third reading of equal employment opportunity.
Okay,
This is the one we're talking about veterans. and
this is
stuff.
veterans preference, and you'll see in your packet, I've included 3 pieces of information. We talked last time about the need to kind of look and see what other people were doing with this. And so what I have for you is, from District 7, let me back up. You have a pink sheet.
Okay.
This is, I spoke with OSBA, and this is their guidance on veterans preference. It really doesn't, there's nothing new here that we haven't already looked at in terms of the actual amount of points or the preference given. But it spells it out very clearly, and it's pretty much in line with what we already know. Then from District 7, you can see we have a memo from, I asked Will for, their guidance, what they were doing. So he sent me his 6-step memo, and then the interview rating form, where they break the interview down into about 8 scoring areas. And then, likewise, I got a very similar document from Klamath County. And I can just say this, in speaking with, this is now the second or third time I've had discussions with people at OSBA. They just strongly urge that we adopt the AR, and that we come up then with some type of schematic, much like District 7's or Klamath County's, that you use to rate the candidates.
Any questions, comments from anybody?
We have a hiring manual that this would replace, or is this going to become the new?
I think it would become, we do not have a hiring manual per se. We certainly have procedures that we, use, but this would probably be kind of the first component of really putting together a hiring manual, yeah.
Is it going to be our policy to add 5 points for an eligible rather than 10 for a disabled?
That's what both the law and the proposed AR speak to, yeah.
Okay. I don't like it, but it's required.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions on that? This, action items, okay. 3Q tuition reimbursement program, 9-week updates.
Okay. Came to our attention a couple of months back, that we needed to add another part to our tuition reimbursement program. And that was that the employee needed to acknowledge to us if they had financial aid that they were receiving in addition to any support that we might give them. And that it would clearly state that any financial aid that the employee has would pay before any ESD support.
Why is that? Why do we have to do that?
We literally, with one of our 2 employees that we are supporting, we became aware that the employee was receiving financial aid. And so we have worked, there's no, this was not a big issue. We caught it early enough that there was no financial issues, there was no, certainly no, we didn't have an issue with the employee per se. But after looking at this situation, and then also I talked to Kate Dickinson, legal counsel at OSBA, she and I agreed that this needed to be inserted.
Yeah. We have this in our policy because we're a payer of last resort.
Exactly.
If they have no scholarships or grants, yeah.
It's something, in talking with Will Cahill and Bill Wirtz and David Kerr about it, none of those 3 districts have it either.
No,
And so it
it's
made
in
them
the-
kind of aware.
It's in the
aware that-
CDA.
Okay,
I think
question.
it's a good deal, so.
Oh, okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. I guess that's not an action item, is it?
Mhm.
Okay, but
We'll just add that to our
that's,
system.
okay. All right. Okay, so then we have board policy first reading. I'm gonna just, yeah, okay. You wanna give us a little explanation, a brief explanation?
Okay, here we go. You got 3 first readings here tonight. The first one is on staff development and also the AR that goes with this, GCL and GCL AR. We currently have both this policy and AR. However, the policy on staff development, GCL, is much simplified, and they've eliminated a lot of the continuing professional development language. That policy, the existing policy we have, was undoubtedly written about 10 or 15 years ago when TSBC first came out with the continuing professional development requirements, which basically are that if you're renewing a 3-year license, you have to have 75 hours of continuing professional development. If you're renewing a 5-year license, it's 125 hours. And so the policy was just peppered with all kinds of references to continuing professional development requirements. They've really toned it down in this proposal. It's just a very simplified version of what we already have. And if you look at the first sentence of the 3rd paragraph, it just says each individual licensed employee is solely responsible for ensuring accurate completion of professional development required for licensure. The previous policy, if you were to look at it, there's so much CPD language in there that one might wonder whether or not it was completely the ESD's responsibility to provide it to the employee. And this policy makes it very clear that the ESD should provide professional development to its employees, but it doesn't really put us on the hook for all those hours of continuing professional development. By the way, we do a lot. Our special ed folks attend various special ed conferences. Our speech folks go to several speech things. We always in the county have people coming in, getting those required CPDs in my estimation is not that difficult. I believe there's a lot of opportunities for people to get these painlessly and pretty cheaply.
This does say that the employee is responsible
Yes,
for.
very clearly.
It has happened in the past where, when it comes time for license renewal, suddenly there's a great need for professional development.
People come in with those sad eyes.
Yes.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Then the AR is actually quite a bit different, but what they've done there is that they have aligned the staff development AR, this proposed AR, with the Senate Bill 290, the new evaluation procedures that everybody adopted about 3 years ago. And so you see those A, B, C, and D, the learning, content, instructional practice, professional responsibility, that is straight out of the 290 evaluations. So they've aligned the AR with the evaluation process, so. And it's quite a bit different than what we have existing. But both of these are optional, but since they're existing ESD policies and ARs, I would certainly recommend that we adopt those.
She
Oh,
was
was
on
there-
5, 6, and 7, supervisor or superintendent. It's in
Oh,
brackets.
yeah,
5, 6,
on the AR, on the back, number 5, acceptable professional development activities shall be reviewed and approved by the supervisor or superintendent. I would probably go with superintendent on that.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah,
I mean, we have great supervisors here, but not all of them are probably as cognizant of some of the
Yeah.
CPD requirements.
same as 7,
7,
Yeah.
7, 6,
Yeah,
7.
same as 7.
Okay. And 6.
and 6, yeah, okay.
Questions, comments? All good? Clayton, you're okay?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Okay. Then, ING, animals and ESD facilities.
What a rock.
The major change here is if you look all the way down in the gray highlight at the bottom. Now mine is all highlighted. Oh, you're
I
looking
got
at
the
the AR.
AR one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
Gotcha.
policy here. If you look here, there's been a lot of change in the Americans with Disabilities Act in terms of defining a service animal, and that's really what's brought about the language changes in this policy. Again, this is an optional policy, however, it is currently an ESD policy, and again, it's basically just, in my opinion, the important part there is the fact that adding that legal language down at the bottom. It really kind of, in my mind, defines the difference between a service animal and a companion or
Comfort animal.
comfort animal.
Yeah.
You know, as I go through Home Depot lately and I see all
Sure.
these people walking their dogs,
Or carrying
is
it.
that really a service animal or is that?
It's not wearing their vest, it's not, it's a comfort animal.
Yes, and I,
I was at Macy's and in Reading and somebody back past me with their French bulldog.
Yeah,
I thought, well, he's cute. He said, what he is, what do they call that? A boutique animal. It's a term for those. I mean, it's like, it's
Yeah.
cute, but what's it doing?
yeah.
I just hope one of those dogs bites.
Yeah, oh,
We don't have a school bus, but you
Yeah,
would be surprised
saw
at the
that, yeah.
requests to transport animals.
oh, yeah.
yeah.
For one reason or another,
Then
it would come up.
in the first and second paragraph, I would recommend that we, in the brackets, put superintendent rather than in the first paragraph,
Yeah.
human resource director and program supervisor. I put superintendent on both of those. And again, I strongly urge you to adopt this policy because again, it really, we haven't had this issue here at ESD, at least not
Yeah.
lately.
Not yet.
Not lately.
Not lately.
Yes.
But it's something as you talk about,
Yeah.
talk to our colleagues around, it's something they're dealing with. And I think this gives you a firm basis
Yeah.
to decide what should happen and what shouldn't happen.
What about miniature horses? How you gonna get a miniature
You
horse?
know,
Yeah.
didn't I mentioned the miniature horse thing today, didn't I?
Yeah, I read that, I was like, that's
I-
crazy.
Of course, do miniature burros.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't wanna
What about Mr.
discriminate, we don't wanna
I'm not
discriminate.
thrilled with taking the permission out either.
What?
I honestly think that you should let somebody know you have a service animal and you're coming in with them before, maybe not permission, because I think by law they can bring it in, but.
Right, I think that's probably why
Yeah, they don't have to notify
Yeah.
if they're coming in if it is actually a service
That's the
dog.
law.
yeah, 'cause
If
you know,
it's a service
if
dog,
it is,
they come in anywhere they come.
if it is,
It's
a-
the ones that there are the nurturing dogs
Yeah.
that people pack
Okay.
around.
if it is truly a
Praise.
service animal, that is one who's designed to be therapeutic for a disability, then by law, you don't have, so I imagine that's probably why they took that
Okay.
Yeah.
out.
It's
But
their
I'm
training,
happy,
yeah.
again, I'm fine with it as long as we can deny companion or comfort and just stay with the service animal.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of crime deterrent a French bulldog provides.
I wanna
That
know
could
what
be their
constitutes a
comfort.
miniature horse. What is a
Now, if it
miniature
was my
horse?
dog, it would be the first one to run. Crime deterrent. And the AR, the accompanying AR just makes basically those same changes and the same, legal stuff down at the bottom that I think is important. And that's it.
Right, and this is to remind you slackers who have not re-signed up for another wonderful term at the Lake County ESD to do so soon. We'll have a drawing for those who do.
So you must have already done it, huh? No, the way you were talking, I was gonna give you
That's
kudos.
slacker, we're gonna.
You speak from experience.
At that point, I guess we'll go to action items and approve board policy, administrative rule as we see there. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the GBA-AR equal employment opportunity
Do I have a
policy.
second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it passes. So with that, we will go into executive session, or as 192